It has been a while. In fact, the last time I recorded a video, I didn't even have Archer. But I'm back with one of the most important realizations, I would say the most important realization I've made in my entire life. After almost 41 years, I can say with confidence that I have solved my depression. To be clear, I don't feel I've cured my depression, but I have solved it in that times I feel low are fewer and far between, and they aren't anywhere near as intense as they used to be. I have a whole outline here. I'm going to try to do this in one take to really talk about this and the process I went through. So bear with me. I would want to first start by defining depression. I've always viewed it as this sort of melancholic fog that changed my subjective view on the world. The glass is half full. Things aren't going to go my way. I'm not good enough. Why try? It won't matter. It's not going to work out. That general mindset really sapped my motivation. It lowered my sense of self, my self-esteem, and the confidence that I had about my place in the world. I've been thinking really hard about why that is, where that depression comes from. And it started with a realization about the idealized version of myself that I have. The version of me that does better, does more, is more productive, is more charismatic, is funnier, is well liked, is further ahead in his career. This idealized version of myself has been a very antagonistic element. No matter how far I've come, no matter what I've accomplished, there's always this version of myself in my head that is doing better. Even in instances where I would one-for-one match this idealized version of myself, my mind would just move the goalpost and say, well, yeah, you accomplished this, but can you do it again tomorrow? Can you get even higher next time? This idealized version of yourself would be able to. And it really just added to the lack of motivation I had to continue to try to work on things, whether it was myself or accomplish things. There was just an added level of futility to almost everything that I did. I then realized that I'd been looking at life as something of a scoreboard. Every failure, setback, perceived or otherwise, would be a point against me. And all of those setbacks and failures would present themselves as I arrived at a present moment. The past of all these negative things would be at the back of my mind. I would arrive at the present moment, think about this idealized version of myself, and project into the future the likelihood on whether something is going to work out or not. This process of the past weighing me down, sapping my energy for the present moment, distorting my lens of the future, comparing myself to this idealized version of myself, created a negative feedback loop where every time I tried to do something, if it didn't work out, that was just another point in the column against me and just more weight added to my perception of the past. Spent a lot of time thinking about that. I realized that no matter how down I got in life, there was always a part of me that hoped. There's a part of me that held on. There's a part of me that felt that there is a chance that I could get past this sense of depression, that I could become the person I want to be, and that I could live the life that I wanted to have. I found myself really grateful for that because it kept me going on a lot of times and days where it was otherwise very hard to. thought a lot about hope and gratitude. And I came to realize gratitude is a concept that I didn't really put a lot of stock into. I have a lot to be grateful for. I'm alive. I have good health. I have friends and family that care about me. I'm gainfully employed. In a lot of ways, I should be extremely grateful, and I am, for the current life that I have. And that process of thinking about things that I should and am grateful for helps me to arrive at the present moment in a far better way, much more healthy, much more positive. I then thought, well, if I'm not utilizing this part of me, the gratitude part of me, what other parts of the proverbial puzzle am I missing? And I realized the missing piece is courage. I've always looked at courage as, if you're facing some existential threat, something external, you have the courage to act in the face of those fears, and you can overcome the fear and the moment as a result. I never really considered the idea of having courage for internal threats and conflicts. I made a conscious effort to have courage in the face of my negative self-talk. Not to fight negative self-talk or depression, not to battle against it, but to have the courage to take a step forward in spite of what my mind was saying. And no matter how it worked out, whether I achieved what I was trying to do or I didn't, at the very least, I displayed the courage to take a step towards being the person that I aspire to be. And that was something that I could be grateful for. That was something that I could be proud of. And that process of being grateful for the things in my life so I could arrive at that present moment, having the courage to try to be my idealized self, is a positive feedback loop that counters the negative feedback loop that has plagued me for so much of my life. It then made me realize, well, I spent a lot of my life wondering if I was broken, if there was something truly wrong with me. And I realized that I was not broken. I was just misconfigured. I was an incomplete jigsaw puzzle. I didn't utilize all the parts I had. I did not use gratitude. I did not use courage. They've been languishing. Adding them to the jigsaw makes the picture come into focus, become a lot more clear. In doing this, I realized that this vision that I have of myself, this idealized version of me, it's never been an enemy. It's not an antagonistic element. It just was misaligned. It didn't have the complementary pieces to do what it's always been trying to do for me, which is to help. Now that I have the gratitude to be proud of everything I've accomplished, the gratitude for all of the people in my life, I can look at that idealized version of myself through a more hopeful lens. It's more aspiring than antagonistic. And the more courage I display in trying to be that person, to aspire to be that person, the better I start to feel. What's been really great about this realization is that I still have negative self-talk that still happens. But the more it bears down on me, being able to take one step with that weight on me is something I feel proud of, something that I feel grateful for. And as I've continued to go through that loop of gratitude, having the vision of my idealized self, and having the courage to take steps towards being that person, the lighter that weight has gotten. I realize now that doing that process has started to integrate that idealized version of myself. It started to integrate the negative self-talk. For a long time in my life, I felt like I was at war with myself. I was at war with my depression, or at war with this idealized version of myself. But it's no longer adversarial now. This idealized version of myself is cooperative. It's not a judge. It's more of a North Star now. It's more encouraging than discouraging. Yeah. In closing, I would say that this is a process that's really worked for me. I am and continue to be, I'm a work in progress. I don't have it all figured out. I just think I'm on to something here. It is my sincerest hope that this video gives one person something to think about, gives them a path to think about a way they can address their own issues. I really appreciate you watching the video. Hope to catch you at the next one. All right.